My name's Rebecca, this is Making LARP, and I'm here to tell you about making your first character. So, hopefully my first video, or whatever else has brought you here, has piqued your interest in creating a new character as a brand new LARP player. Hopefully this means you've found a system to play in. If you haven't, I'm going to link to some of the major players in Event LARP down below and to Isles of Darkness, which is the overseeing body in the UK of the various World of Darkness LARPs. These are modern fantasy horror LARPs using the Mind's Eye Theatre rules by White Wolf. If you've heard of Vampire the Masquerade, or Vampire the Requiem, or Werewolf, or Mage, generally they're forms of something the something, then these are the people you need to talk to about finding most games. There are independent games out there. I personally helped run one, so it may be that your town is not affiliated with Isles of Darkness, but it's a good place to start if you're interested in modern horror at all. One thing to note, as a new vampire player, it is very much a political and stab each other in the back game. Nothing wrong with that, it's a fantastic way of doing things, especially as a much more social geared game, but try not to get too upset if people try and bring you down straight away. It's nothing personal, it's just the way the world is set up. So I'm not going to go through every single system and the game mechanics of how to create a character. Generally, every system will have some way of saying you are good at the following things. They may refer to it as XP, they may refer to it as character creation points, they may refer to it as skill points. You will have some set amount that you start with as a new character. You may get special bonuses for being new to the system, depending on what offers the group is running at the time. And you will get to spend those points on determining what your character does. Now, the first thing before you spend those points is you need to determine the archetype of what your character is. Now, there are some fairly simple ways. First things first, as long as you're not directly just copying, nicking the name, nicking all the trademark costuming and stuff, then coming up with ideas based on a character you actually really like can be fantastic. There is a trap there that it gets old fast if you are sticking too closely to the source material, but it's not a bad starting point. For example, my character in the LT is based on a lot of the ideals carried by the Discworld witches. I would probably say my character is somewhere in between Magrat and Nanny Og. Some people have said there's a lot more Granny Weatherwax in there. Personally, I think she's way too young and inexperienced to get anywhere near that label. But it was a good starting point because it gave me a kind of background to the world that I already knew, that I could come in with that character and know what I was aiming for. As long as it's not going to completely clash with your game's world, come up with a character. Very simple concept. What would Merlin do if he was a mage when the internet existed? Okay, you might want to aim for more Merlin from the BBC TV series if you're coming in as a new character, because you're not going to have the power levels to play Merlin from the actual Arthurian tales, but it's not a bad character concept. Coming up with or meshing characters together that you already kind of have a good base of who they are is not a bad starting off point. The other good way of doing it is picking a character archetype and then fleshing it out. So, for example, you could be the shy scholar. You could be the dumb jock. You can be the arrogant mage. You can be the world-weary doctor. And if you have maybe been able to convince a few friends to join with you at the same time, then you can actually kind of take a good little group. Again, as long as you're not directly copying a group of characters, it's not a bad idea to have yourselves all based out of the same little world. or based off a group of characters that know each other well. Just, there's a fine line between inspiration, parody, ripping it off and being annoying. If nothing else, in a game where it is set up to be PvP, if you're an annoying character, people will just kill you. They will. It might not be straight away, but people will just get annoyed and kill you. So hopefully I've given you a few ideas for how to get the basic character down. Again, you need to really talk to the experts or generally the people running the particular system you're going to, because they will give you great advice on mechanically how to make your idea work. Once you've picked your system, the next step is to work out if you need to define yourself as being part of a subgroup. Now, what subgroups are available will depend entirely on your system. For example, I'm going to say it over and over and over again, I am a member of the Lorien Trust. The Lorien Trust groups all of its players into 10 factions. Each faction has a name based on an animal. I am part of the Lions faction. Each faction is essentially a country. So you are from a certain country. That country has its own particular laws, its own ideals about the way certain things should be. It'll also have other rules that it's important to keep in mind when you are first generating your character. If you've really come up with a great concept of how you're going to be a necromancer and you're going to have an undead army and you're going to work for this evil dark god you've created, fantastic. Don't play a line, we will just kill you on sight. Check if you've got a particular concept that you want to go for, work out where it's best suited within your system. If you were planning to go in within a certain group, in this case, group is a actual term the LT uses for collections of people within a faction. For example, I am part of the group The Company of the Brave and Foolish. We are mercenaries, so we don't have particular costume requirements. However, other groups within our system have particular insignia, and pretty much all their members will wear the same kit, or will all wear the same coloured tabard. And so, even from across the fields, they can see, that's one of our guys, he's lying on the floor, we need to go pick him up before he dies. So it's worth checking if you have a costume or concept in mind, whether that's going to fit with your group. If you're a brand new player, you don't know anyone, and you've just kind of linked up with a group over the internet, discuss it with them. It might be that you need to find a different group. If you are going in particularly to play with friends, it might be that you need to come with a new concept for this character, and then when you've established yourself more and you know more people out of character, you'll be more comfortable with going and camping with a completely different set of people. Now, in the White Wolf games, they generally run by a 5x5 system, which means that you have 5 groups that you could be a part of that are denoted by something that isn't your character's choice. In Vampire, it's clan. I can't remember what the term for it in Werewolf is, but essentially what type of abilities you are good at, a bit like a race, is determined by something you put on your character sheet that your character doesn't get to pick. And then you will also have kind of political groups that your character can join. And generally there are also 5 of these. It might be that in your particular setting that there are other groups, or perhaps those that have not picked a group are a force that is practically a group on their own. Again, discuss it with people that actually play. Get ready before you create the character. But picking those things may also, A, give you more ideas in narrowing down who your character is, but B, have certain costume requirements or restrictions that you need to be aware of. For example, if you are the clan Nosferatu, they are the scary guy. One of the things that is unique about them is that they are just creepy. You look at them and they are just creepy. Now, you can costume this. In the Requiem setting, this could also be a kind of mind effect aura sort of thing, where you could play a beautiful, beautiful Nosferatu, but people get creeped out by you because your face is just too darn symmetrical. But it might be that when you're looking at creating or costuming this character, that you want to look into the effort required for things like drawing scars on, wearing facial masks, covering part of your character. Maybe your character has a particular thing of they never wear short sleeve clothes because they've got some sort of weird markings on their arm. Do you want to actually draw those on every session in case something happens where they got knocked over? Entirely up to you. So keep things like setting restrictions in mind, not only for creating the character but also for costuming it. Now I've cut the video here as I'm going to use next week's video to talk more in depth about costuming your first character. I hope that the discussion on the creation of your first character as a personality has been helpful to you, and I will see you all next week on Making LARP.